Hi, my friend, it's Pat Sloan here, and we are on our Monday Happy Everything Sew Along. So Mondays are when we do the next block, and we're on the bottom half of the quilt now. I did not do the sashing yet on the leaf, but that'll be this week. And we have the applique block today for the home, coming home. And I made a few adjustments, which I'm going to talk to you about and show you how to think through that and do something that's a little smaller than what the size of the original pattern is, so that you can adjust things for yourself, such as make that rectangle into a pillow. Like this would be a nice pillow size. If you don't want to do applique, like you're highly allergic to that, you can do a 12-inch block and then add a border around it to get it up to the 13.5-inch size, 13 finished, needed for the project. But before I show you these tips, I want to tell you a few other things. One is that, see my t-shirt? This is from my friend Heidi, who owns Hen Chicks in Conrad, Iowa, which is a quilt shop. And she has been a longtime friend of mine. She was the second editor of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine for many, 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 many years. Then she worked with a Long Arm Company in marketing, and that's where I worked with her. I worked with her at the magazine. I worked with her at the Long Arm Company, and she has a quilt shop now. And I am talking to her next Monday in the evening on a live Zoom. So you can sign up. Links are in the description and at my website. You want to sign up. It is in the evening, so many of you can come and watch it live. I do believe she will have the recording up afterwards at some point, probably the next day or the day after. But she's doing some fun things. She has a subscription box and some other stuff that's just really cool that she has going on, and a few little surprises, which I'm not going to tell you about. But her t-shirts don't you love this color, this peach color? I love this peach color. Okay, so be sure you sign up so that you can come and hang out and listen to the Zoom. The other thing is my friend Kate at the Confident Stitch has this super cute, her Swatch Club. So Kate's squares, she does a curated set of squares and gives you a little project to make with them, and then an expanded project. So it is the small project to use the square set is a snowed in pillow, or you can then get the same fabric set that you'll have swatches of, and you could get the bigger project, which is so darling. And so once again, the links are at my website and down below here in the subscription box. So let's go and look at how to approach this with some applique tips as well. What I want to do is show you how versatile applique can be, because you can take shapes and you can leave shapes out. You could rearrange shapes. You can sort of condense where you place them, and that's why in the Happy Everything I chose to put the home is as a smaller square, and I'm going to then use a little bit less of what's here and show you how to rearrange it a bit. Plus I will show you how I trace off a unit applique shape that is bigger than the pages, so you have it in parts. So you might not be familiar with that. Like I showed you, I went for this sparkly background because, why not? It's sparkles. You gotta have sparkles. All right, so the first thing is I am using Heat and Bond Light. I have a bunch of videos on this. You can go to YouTube here and put in the search bar applique, and it'll come up with lots of videos. But I like Heat and Bond Light. It is this shade of purple. There is also a Feather Light, which is more a lavender, a different shade of purple. And so look at the colors. Then there's red. You don't want to use red. That's a no-sew bond for crafting, and it's very gummy, so you don't want to use that one. Okay, I also cut away, which I will show you today. So down here, the shapes, many of the shapes in here are done with the ruler. So we're just going to trace. That's how, you can just get a nice crisp line for the house. So the house, the door, the windows, and the flagpole, if you decide to use that, the flag, the star banner on the flag, all of those you're going to use the ruler, so there's no shape in the book. Now I'm just going to draw the go ahead and draw the house first and just show you how to do that. You're drawing on the paper side, not on the bumpy side. So if it's bumpy, turn it over. And I will go ahead and also, I want to show you a property. This is as wide as Heat and Bond is. It's like fabric. It's only so wide, so it's this wide. And when it's going through the rollers, you know, the adhesive is out to this very edge, but I never use this as an outer edge because I'm cutting away a lot of this, and this outer edge is what has to have it a full adhesive. And I found over time that it might be just a little bit thinner or not at all at the very outer edge where it's going through the machine. You know, so it's going through, it's like the selvage on your fabric. You don't really use that edge out there. So I never really use that very outer edge. Okay, so I am going to draw my house, and he is, so I'm going to take it up here and go across and then up to where I need to be. So I've got two sides of the house, and then I will just flip it over. So I've got two sides, which, let me just see, you can see them here, 1, 2, and then I will just flip the ruler the ruler over, and I will draw out to there, and then just connect the dots. Whoops, I think I went a little too far. So I'll connect the dots here. Yep. So then I have my rectangle. So this part is the house, and I will cut a bit around the outside. Don't be too frugal because this is a big shape, and when you cut the middle out of it, it can become like a little spaghetti noodle and make it hard for you to actually see and use it. You know, see what you're doing and kind of use that shape. So I want to put a little bit around the outside. You know, I don't need to have it just like this fraction. You know, Heat and Bond Light is not expensive, so you don't need to be that frugal. Now I want to cut out this whole middle, and so I will just cut through the line because I feel that gives me a lot more control rather than trying to pinch and cut. And when you pinch, they're introducing release points for the paper and the glue. So I try not to pinch or fold anything because that's how you separate the glue from the paper. So now I'm just going to trim inside less than 1/4 of an inch because I think of this as a basting line, because then the stitch that I use, the blanket stitch, will actually cover this fusible, and then your shape is super soft and you never feel any of the fusible because it's all under the stitching. So here we go, all the way out to the edge. It's like watching paint dry. All right, now this is reusable, so I will take this and I will draw the windows and maybe the door. I probably can get all of this from the middle part of the body of the building. Now I'm not going to put the flagpole on mine. I decided that, you know, one of the things that we always do for decorating, remember this is happy everything, so what we do when we're decorating is we decorate the outside of the house. Many of us do. No matter the season, you might have little flags that you switch out. You might have garden items, porch items, deck items, things you wrap on around poles. There's lots of things that we do on the outside of our house to decorate. So I want mine to have the house, the sunshine, and the butterfly on the grassy knoll. So here is the shape, and then I'm going to go and put it on the house fabric. The one thing I want to do is be sure that my fabric shows up on the background. And so I like this one. It does. It shows up. And I want a sunshiny yellow house. And this one has sort of this basket weave on it. So that I thought was pretty good. So I just wanted to show you the background there. So we're going to fuse this house to the back side of this fabric. And you want to not have any pleats and wrinkles. Just do good quilting habits. Get rid of all of that. Have I done it with pleats and wrinkles in it? Of course. Is that a good thing? No. So let's get rid of it. Okay, now I have the fusible, and I need to lay it down on the background, on the back side of the house fabric, and I want to put the cut side. Okay, so remember I cut it here so you can see that. So I'm going to fuse from the opposite side around, and here I can be as frugal as I want. So if I want to waste as little fabric as possible, I can get it, you know, kind of all up on the edge. You want to be a little bit careful with the bigger shapes because you don't want to have it like not totally flat, and if you're too close to the edge it sort of scoots off the fabric. So give yourself a little space. Now you're going to press this just for a couple of seconds, like 1 2 3 1 2 3. You're not cooking a roast. This is, if you press it for too long you will dry it out and then it won't stick to the background. Okay, so there we go. That was it. And now our shape is fused down and we will cut it on the line. And that is how you do this kind of applique. Now if you wanted it to be like super straight, you could go over and use your ruler. That would be so nice, wouldn't it? As I'm cutting this, I'm thinking, oh, I should just go over and use the ruler to do this. I'm so used to doing shapes that are not straight that I always use my scissors. Speaking of scissors, I like scissors like this, which are called a shear. They have an angle, and I think they're super ergonomic. Also, I can fit 3 fingers in this hole, and then the thumb. These are right-handed scissors. And this whole thing, this shear, I use for everything because I like how ergonomic it is. It does not stress my wrist. It is super nice. Okay, once I have this, then I will be able to put the house on the background. But I have to do the other shapes first. So I do want to show you the grassy knoll and how you draw that out. Here are the different shapes we have for the project. And then, on the second page here are the shapes for the grassy knoll. And you can see that you're going to take this edge right here. When you're drawing the shape, you'll take this edge and then continue it along here as one shape, not 2 shapes. If you made 2 shapes like this, what would happen? Tick tock, tick tock. You would have a seam right down the middle of your grass for no reason except that you did it wrong. You'd never want to have your applique with a seam in the middle of it. This is meant to be one piece. I can't tell you how many people have done that. So when you're using larger shapes, you're going to take multiple pieces, make one template, make one shape out of it. But you don't have to do the extra work to cut that out or draw those on another piece and connect them. No, you just can do it right as you're drawing on your paper, on your fusible. It's super easy. Okay, let's come down. Now what I've got, I'm going to go on this end. So I will be drawing the one side that sort of, doesn't have much dip to it. I'm going to be drawing this side, and what I'll do is take some marks first. So I've got here, this is the hard line that, okay? So we're going to match up that to the other side. So other than that, I'm drawing, and you don't have to be so precise when you're doing applique. I mean, the grass might be a little taller in one place, a little shorter in the other. Okay, now I'm taking this and I'm matching it up to the other piece down here. So this side I'm going to match up here to draw it. And so you don't need to redraw this onto anything else. You're using your paper here. It works perfectly fine. And I'm going all the way out to here. Here's the end. And then coming straight across the bottom. And so this is the shape for the grass. Down, I'll show you placement next. Here is where I drew the heart within the door so that I can be frugal and save that, use this fusible. There's the windows. Here is the rays of the sunshine and then the sun. I put the butterfly body in the grass area. And then for the butterfly, there's 2 wings. They have to be reversed. So what I find easiest to do is just go ahead and fuse the first wing and then use it as a template. Turn it over and then trace the second wing after you've made the first one. Then you don't have to draw it onto something else. When you go to trace the other wing, don't put it right sides up like this because this is exactly what you did to put it on the fabric. Turn it over to trace to get the opposite way. So here is where it is. I'm about ready to go ahead and take all the papers off then and press it. Normally I would take all the papers off first, but I didn't happen to do that yet because I want to show you a couple things. One is the background. What I'm doing is I've decided to leave the same shape. This is the exact size in the pattern, but you can see that the house sat way up, sort of almost at the top of the hill in the larger block, so that you could have a sun up here and then the flagpole. So because this is a shorter block, I have put the house way down onto the hill, so it's more behind it. I messed around with the door, so I didn't know. I had an aqua door, and then I would need like a heart that was gray, which would be fine. But then I sort of liked the gray door and the teal heart. But what I found out is, look at this. This is actually got some images on it, and the bird is upside down. It is the only bird, so I thought that just looks dumb. So I went and made another bird, another heart with the bird right side up. Out here, I want to show you a couple other placement things. For the house roof, the roof is actually just sits right on the edge. So you're going to blanket stitch the house, and then you'll blanket stitch the roof. Like both, they'll have blanket stitching on both the top edge of this and the bottom edge of this. They don't overlap. If you want your house a little narrower, you could do that. You could certainly make it narrower and tuck it under. You'd have to make the door a little bit more narrow because there's a big door on here. For the sun up in the corner, I tuck the sun ray underneath. So instead of putting the sun ray on the top, which you could do, see how yours looks, but I prefer putting it underneath. And so that's how that guy is. So this is all, pretty much ready to stitch. For those of you wondering, I do cut out the center of the butterfly body, which is the smallest piece, and I cut out the center of everything that I can. When I want to remove this, I will just fold, make a crease in the paper, and when you do that, it helps release it from the fusible, and then you could just pick it off like this. Generally, I will pull all the paper off before I do placement. That way, I don't have to pick each piece up after it's perfectly placed. So that's another tip I have. So this is all fused now. One thing I did do was I shifted that door up just a little bit to give a peak of yellow under there, because then I'm going to blanket stitch yellow along the bottom, which will give that just a little bit more definition. I also used a lot of the fabrics from Through the Woods, that line that I picked up, where I have, this is actually the border fabric I'm going to use for the Happy Everything, and then I went ahead and got a fat 1/8 bundle of the whole line, and I pulled out the roof and the house, the door, the windows, and this part of the sun were all from this fabric. So it's super, this is super cute. I want to do something with it. Maybe cut them do a layer cake quilt. So I think there's enough there to do something with, maybe adding a few more things in. So again, sign up. It's next Monday. So you have 1 week from now. We'll do a live event with Heidi, and my friend Roseanne is going to join us. So it'll be a fun, super fun chat. They are wonderful people. You are going to love it, just like I love you. So I love you. Mwah. See you online.